Hello, I'm Anthony David Hobbs, and this concerns The Silver Chair, the sixth book in the Narnia series. Now, I first owned this book when I was 8 years old, and I started reading like the first couple of chapters, then gave up on it, and then went back to reading it 2 years later. Yes, at the age of 8, I seemed rather reluctant to read a long book, but a bit more mature when I was 10. And anyway, when I read this one, there was this amazing feeling of satisfaction at the end, because, of course, I didn't read the books in the right order. This was the last one I read, so therefore, yeah, I'd completed the full set, so I felt, yeah, that was really cool, yeah. Now, when C.S. Lewis wrote The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, I don't think he intended to do any sequels, but because it was so successful, when he was writing the other ones, I think he must have had ideas for other ones, or because Father Time is in this story, very briefly, a giant that sleeps underground, and we see him again in the last battle. So yes, he leaves hints for possible sequels here and there, yeah. And spoiler alert, he even says to the children, you have to go back to your own world now, but one day you'll be here to stay. That's another hint for what happens in the last battle, yeah. Okay, I'll just say a few bits of trivia before I start the review properly. That's Puddleglum, a marsh wiggle. He has like the body of a dwarf, but very long legs, like a frog, and very long arms as well. His arms and legs are disproportionate, yeah. And he has webbed toes and webbed hands, yeah. He lives in the swamps, yes. He's a marsh wiggle, yeah. Now, I read the book first, then I listened to the audio tape version. And it's just pure coincidence, but the narrator, his version of what Puddleglum's voice would be like, that is exactly what I imagined his voice would be like. And I thought, wow, that's an astonishing coincidence, yeah. He has this very strange sort of gnome-like voice because of his narrow mouth and his thin lips. So yeah, it's sort of a strange, elemental, magical sort of voice, yeah. Yeah, Puddleglum is a good character. He's very pessimistic. Apparently he was inspired by C.S. Lewis's gardener, who's very glum and grumpy, but deep down quite happy inside. And Puddleglum, at first, you think he's a useless guy. He's hopeless, always moaning and complaining, always exaggerating all the time. But he has great endurance, yes. He gets the job done. All his focus is there. And the Lady of the Green Kirtle, the big villain of the piece, yes, when she has this power to control minds and haze your vision and stuff, cloud your judgment, yeah. And she does it to the two children here, Eustace and Jill. And then she also does it to Puddleglum and says, there is no other world but mine, because they're underground. There is no world but mine. Narnia never existed. The sun never existed. No. And Puddleglum simply says, okay, I believe you. Only this world exists, but I'm still not satisfied. I'm still not going to serve you. You're still evil through and through. Yes. So he's determined to get the job done, yeah. And on their mission is to find the lost Prince of Narnia. And he's somewhere in Ettinsmoor, or at least they think he's somewhere in Ettinsmoor. And on the way, in every great adventure story, there's an obstacle to stop the heroes getting the job done. In this case, it's like a temptation. Have a little holiday in the castle of Harfang, and then get on with the mission afterwards. And Puddleglum says, No, we're not here on holiday. We've got to get on with this mission. We've got to find the lost prince. But the two children are fed up of sleeping on rough ground and in the freezing cold all the time. Yeah, they want to have a little holiday, have a little break. And Puddleglum is not happy about it, but he agrees to do it. He sticks by them, yeah. Okay, there's a good visual aid here. Map of... it is one of the Chronicles of Narnia, but very little of the story takes place in Narnia. Yes, most of it is in Ettinsmoor, and there's, the Castle of Harfang and the ruined city of the ancient giants. So yes, the Narnia universe expands. We haven't seen Ettinsmoor before, so that's something a bit new, a bit different, yeah. And, okay, spoiler alert, the second half of the book all takes place underground. And that really caught me off guard. I had no idea that was going to happen, so that's pretty cool. Okay, in Voyage of the Dawn Treader, that's exploring, trying to find 7 missing lords. In this one, they're trying to find someone, a lost prince, but, it's different, yes, it's different enough and similar enough. It's a totally different environment and a totally different story. But I suppose I like the exploring element. That's what I loved about this story as a child, yeah. And, okay, nitpick time. I'm going to say some things bad with it. The Lost Prince, who's there dressed as a black knight, yeah, okay. The Lady of the Green Kirtle has this power to control minds, this power to control his mind, and wants him to take a load of underworld men, take over Narnia, to kill everyone, slay the chief man, kill all the royals and the courtiers and everyone, and take over the country. Why? Why do they need an army to take over the whole country? He's the Prince of Narnia, the son of King Caspian. He could legally become king straight away. Yeah, why this elaborate plan for an army? They don't need that, yeah. King Caspian is very, very old, well into his 80s, so, and because it's on medieval terms, he'll be dead soon, and then he'll become king legally. So why this elaborate plan to invade and take over an army? An army is totally unnecessary. The prince would rule legally, and because the green witch woman still has control of his mind, she could rule Narnia through him. Yeah, well, it makes a more exciting story if there's an army involved, yeah. And, okay, oh yes, there's a picture here in the book that is not in the pictures that we see afterwards, yeah. When the lady of the green kirtle turns into a snake there, and wraps her body around the, oh yeah, she's turned into a snake, but she doesn't have any legs there. There are other pictures where the serpent has legs, but this picture doesn't, yeah. On the front cover, the serpent has legs, back legs and front legs. A bit silly because when I think snake, I think no legs. But anyway, it's sort of symbolic. She's got wrapped around, her coils are wrapped around the whole plot. Yes, yeah. It's called the Silver Chair, even though the Silver Chair itself it has very little screen time. We see it very little in the story, yes. But it is integral to the plot, yeah. Okay, nitpick time again. There's Aslan's country, which, well, looks pretty much like anywhere on Earth, really. Yes, but yeah, everything's perfect. I suppose that's the difference. The air is sweeter, the fruit tastes nicer. It's like Earth, only perfect. Yeah, Aslan's country. Yeah. Now I have a new character called Jill, who's friends of Eustace, and they want to find a way to get away from their horrid school, get away from the horrid bullies and everything. And they go through like a gate that leads to the school gardens or something, and are teleported. Not to Narnia, but to Aslan's country. Yeah, they go to Narnia later. Anyway, the point is, Jill never been to Narnia. She meets the lion Aslan. You know, she doesn't know who he is. He's a total stranger. She's heard references him from Eustace, but doesn't know who the heck he is. And here's Jill there, dying of thirst. Anyway, the point is, she's dying of thirst in Aslan's country. There is a stream to drink water from, but Aslan watches her as she does it. And she says, "Could you go away for a minute, please, so I can have a drink of water?" "No." "Well, how do you know? How do I know that you're not going to pounce on me and eat me up?" "Well, you don't know. You're just going to have to trust me. It's an act of faith." So she has to trust him, you know. Yeah. Trust a total stranger with your life like that. Now, we, the audience, know that she's perfectly safe. It's Aslan, it's safe. But to her, Aslan is a total stranger. You mustn't trust a total stranger. "Oh, unless he has magical powers, that makes it all right." Yes, that sounds like something out of the Bible. Yes, this story was very influenced by the Christian Bible. No, don't talk to strangers unless they have magical powers. Well, no, that's wrong. That is a terrible moral lesson for kids. That's awful. And Puddleglum, yes, he's like their guide. He knows the way around. He knows the northern lands. Here's a lantern there. Because they meet him in the dark. They don't quite know what he looks like yet. And then when they see him in the daytime, they're a bit creeped out by him. Yes, he looks like this strange frog creature. But then later in the story, they meet giants in Ettinsmoor. Yes. Puddleglum doesn't seem so creepy anymore after that. Yes, these giants are really like savages. They throw rocks at anything that moves. Yes, real vicious barbarians. Yeah, and Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe. I criticised the main plot of that for being exactly the same as the story of Jesus. You know, a supernatural person dies and then comes back to life. That's exactly the same as the plot of Jesus. Now in this one we have something that's like the plot of Hamlet, but not exactly the same. No, it's not exactly the same. It's different enough and similar enough to the story of Hamlet. Here we have. The story of Hamlet, basically, it's about a man that pretends to be mad so that his enemies don't deem him a threat to their power, and then becomes sane again. This is like that, and it's not exactly the same. It's loosely based on Hamlet. Not exactly the same plot, but loosely based. Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with being loosely based, as long as you're not exactly the same plot. And here is Hamlet. Well, the difference is, he doesn't pretend to be mad, he genuinely does go mad, yes, and then is sane for a short time. And, yes, here's big spoiler alert here, we see the silver chair. He's tied up like that, yeah. And, well, basically, This is what he's been told. They don't know he's the prince at this stage. He's been told that he's perfectly sane for most of the day, and then for a short time, 1 hour of every day, he goes mad and would attack everything in sight, so he has to be tied to the silver chair, yeah. And but of course the big twist is it's the other way round. He's insane for most of the time and perfectly sane for a short time, yes, so he's tied up like that so that he can't tell anyone who he really is. He can't tell anyone that he's really Prince Rilian of Narnia. And if he does tell anyone, they'll just think he's a raving lunatic, yes. Yes, silver is symbolic because they say silver is the colour of the moon. Another name for the moon is Luna. And Luna is where we get the word lunatic. Yes, he's raving like a lunatic, even though he's not mad at all, yes. So you don't know the whole story until you know the whole picture, yes. He's yeah, he's not mad, not really. It's the lady of the green kirtle that's made him like that. Yes, she's made him evil, yeah. And, okay, a picture of the lady of the green kirtle. She's totally evil, yes. She's the sweetest thing you can possibly imagine. The way she talks and she talks like tweeting birds, it's described, yes. This lovely, beautiful voice, like a bird song, yes. And she wears a lovely white horse and everything, and she just basically... it surprised me a lot that she was the big villain of the piece, yes. I had no way of suspecting her, yeah. And Puddleglum suspects her, but the two kids don't take him seriously because they think Puddleglum suspects everyone. He thinks the worst of everyone, you know, yeah. Come on, Puddleglum, not everyone's evil. Don't think the worst of her. She's told us that we can have a holiday in this big castle. What could be sinister about that, you know? Well, they find out. However, and here's an interesting notion here. Puddleglum is upset that they go to the castle of the gentle giants. They say, we're not on holiday, we're supposed to be doing a mission, but they go there anyway. However, one of Aslan's signs for their mission is, you will find writing in the ruined city, and you must do what the writing tells you. And they can't see the writing because it's so big, it's so massive. They walk along the writing without seeing it. But when they go in the castle of Harfang, sitting at a high window and looking down, then they can clearly see the writing, and it says, under me. If they hadn't gone to Harfang in the first place, they probably wouldn't have figured that out. That's why there's a chapter called How They Discovered Something Worth Knowing. So yeah. And under me, does that make a lot of sense? And Puddleglum, well, it means we have to go underneath. We have to go under that city. That's where we'll find the prince. And then there's lots of travels underground and everything. And I think underground is symbolic because the underground men are going to attack Narnia from underneath. It's like an enemy is right under your nose all this time and you didn't know about it, yeah. And then afterwards it turns out the underground men weren't really evil. No, they were under the spell, the hypnotic spell, the control minds of the lady of the green kirtle. So when she dies, then the spell is broken and they're in their right minds again. And they're friendly, they're not evil at all, yeah. So, yes, a lot of good twists and turns, a lot of fun. It gets a bit trippy and surreal at the end when the dead Caspian is youthed into like a young boy, but overall, yes, it's a good story, and they get their revenge on the school bully, so everything's alright. Oh, another nitpick, sexism. Yes, there is a fair bit of sexism in this. When they first meet the prince, dressed in black, except they don't know he's the prince at this point, but when they meet him, he says how he's going to become king of a great land under the leadership of the lady of the green kirtle. I will rule an army, yes, but I will be under the leadership of the lady of the green kirtle. And one of the characters says, that's stupid. You're not a real man if you take orders from a woman. Which character says this? Jill. A girl says that. Oh, good grief, have some self-respect. Yes, but it was written in the 50s, yes. And it gets worse. Afterwards, when the two children return to our world, there's the headmistress in charge of the school. She's a woman, a head teacher that's a woman. And she has hysterics, and she goes crazy, bizarre, when she's terrified seeing this loose lion, and goes mad and behaves like a lunatic, and the police think she's mad. And C.S. Lewis basically says, well, in this world or in that world, in general, you should never give a woman a position of power. That is so dated, that is so terrible. Yeah. Well, if they did a movie version, I think they'd update that a bit, you know, yeah. But overall, in spite of a few bits and bobs that are a bit dated, it is a very good story, yes. A very enjoyable read. A lot of twists and turns, and I still enjoy it. And I love the bit at the very end where C.S. Lewis pretends that Narnia is real, if you like, and says, if you ever have the opportunity to go to Narnia, check out the underground caves. Very visually stunning. So, yes, this dramatic adventure, and it ends on a little chatty one-liner. Yeah. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm Anthony Hobbs, and I'm never bored.